today we're diving into something literally game-changing. We're unpacking the timeless wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn. Now, if you know her work, you know she completely revolutionized how we look at personal growth back in the early 20th century. Her whole thing? Life isn't this grueling uphill battle. It's actually a game. And hey, to win a game, you just gotta know the rules, right? So today, we're zooming in on one of her absolutely brilliant concepts, this idea of infinite intelligence, which she calls the Great Magician. We are going to walk through her exact playbook for taking those completely impossible situations in your life and, well, turning them into sheer magic. So think about this for a second. When you hit a massive wall, maybe a huge project falls apart, or a bill shows up that you just can't pay, or a goal suddenly feels a million miles away, how do you actually react? If you're like most of us, your gut reaction is probably panic, right? Frustration, this heavy sense of limitation. You probably start scrambling, trying to force a solution, micromanaging every tiny detail. Or honestly, maybe you just throw your hands up and give up. But Shinn? She argues that this exact stressed-out reaction is the very thing keeping us stuck. She offers a radically different way to handle our obstacles. And she sums it up with this incredible principle. She says, the universal power, the great magician, changes a curse into a blessing, despair into joy, lack into plenty, sickness into health. Notice how absolute that is. Shinn teaches that there's absolutely no limit to the good that this infinite intelligence can line up for you. The universe isn't some cold, rigid machine. It's totally dynamic. It is capable of spontaneous, magical transformation. But here's the catch. According to her, there's really only one thing, just one, that actually blocks this magic: our own doubt, our own disbelief. When we tackle our problems with that heavy, anxious, fearful energy, we are literally shutting off the valve to our own solutions. Okay, to make this super concrete, let's look at this wild real-world story from Shinn's own life. Just picture this. She takes her watch into a jeweler to get it fixed, right? She waits an entire month to get it back. But when she finally picks it up, it's still broken. It's losing like 10 minutes every single day. You can imagine how aggravating that is. So she straps it on, feeling super irritated, and suddenly, bam, it slips right off her wrist and crashes onto the hard floor. Now, for pretty much anyone else, this is the breaking point. This is the moment you just scream or totally lose it. But she doesn't get angry. Instead, she practices this crazy, radical form of non-resistance. She looks down at this smashed watch on the floor and literally declares out loud, "I baptize this situation with the name of success." Wow. Think about the psychological power of that pattern interrupt. She flat out refused to let this three-dimensional world of things going wrong dictate her emotional state. Just by using the power of her words, she actively reframed a totally clumsy, frustrating accident into a declaration of victory. And guys, the result was literal clockwork. Remember, before the fall, the watch was lagging, losing 10 minutes a day. But after she picked it up, the very next day it was keeping absolutely perfect time. It's like the physical impact of hitting the floor somehow jolted the internal gears right back into alignment. It completely regulated itself. So the massive takeaway here is that sometimes what we view as a fall or a massive setback or a total disaster, it's actually the exact shock needed to regulate our situation. If you fight it and get mad, you just create more friction. But if you embrace it, you might just find out that the fall was actually the fix. All right, let's look at another amazing example, this time in the business world. So there's this real estate agent who gets hit with a frankly impossible task from a corporate client. They don't just want any office space. They need a very specific 7-story building, and it has to be in this one highly competitive, hyper-specific district. The agent looks at the market, runs the numbers, and immediately just sinks into discouragement. According to all logic and data, this building simply does not exist. It's a total dead end. But instead of spiraling into that heavy anxiety, the agent remembers Shinn's concept of the great magician. He realizes, wait, I'm trying to do all the heavy lifting with my own limited conscious mind. So he actually closes his eyes, completely shifts his internal posture, and says, I now pull out of the great magician's hat the right 7-story building in the right location. He completely tapped into that childhood sense of playfulness. He didn't stress about how the magician was going to pull off the trick. He just expected the rabbit to come out of the hat. And the outcome? Completely staggering. By just stopping the worry and handing the whole mess over to infinite intelligence, by treating the universe playfully instead of like a stressed-out micromanager, he lifted that heavy burden of how And almost immediately after doing this, he found the exact building that checked every single box for his client. It's wild, but it proves that when we approach our goals with a light, playful certainty instead of gritted teeth, we completely wipe out the mental limitations that blind us to the opportunities literally sitting right in front of us. Now, imagine a beautiful, calm landscape that suddenly gets completely swallowed by a thick, heavy fog. We often lose our way in life because fear and anxiety roll in exactly like that fog. We literally can't see the good things waiting for us just over the horizon because our immediate vision is all clouded up by panic. Maybe you're staring at your bank account or you're doom scrolling the news. We desperately need a way to see through that fog. And to do that, Shinn introduces this fantastic concept called spiritual binoculars. This is essentially a mental tool you use to bring your distant future blessings into sharp, immediate focus. Think about how actual binoculars work, right? They take something miles and miles away and magnify it so it looks like you could just reach out and touch it. Well, that's exactly what active faith does. It takes the success or the health or the wealth that feels so far away and brings it so close in your mind that you can literally feel it right now, cutting straight through the fog of whatever mess you're currently in. But of course, there is a catch. If you have a fancy pair of binoculars, but the lenses are caked in mud, they're completely useless. Your spiritual binoculars have to be actively cleaned. Worry, doubt, and fear, those are the smudges on your lenses. You have to continually wipe them away with fresh inspiration, positive words, and active faith. You've got to protect your vision, because when your lenses are perfectly clean, you are instantly connected to your invisible resources. It's like a bird just effortlessly soaring over the ocean. That is the exact state of mind Shinn wants us to reach. She teaches that time and space, they're ultimately just illusions. If you're constantly stuck in the past, carrying all this regret, or you're living in the future, totally chewed up by anxiety, you are missing the magic entirely. You have to suspend yourself in the magnificent now. You've got to live in a state of joyful expectation today, pulling all that future success right into your present moment. So if you actually want this magic to start working in your life, you have to remember one absolutely crucial thing. You've got to stop forcing the timeline. Stop trying to dictate exactly how and exactly when your desires are going to manifest. Because when you do that, you're literally trying to do the magician's job for them. Instead, your only job is to simply play your part. And to do that, you have to follow the actual rules of the game. Shinn boils this whole playbook down to 3 incredibly practical steps. All right, let's dive into this final playbook. These are the 3 simple rules. Number 1, speak the word. Your words are literally your magic wand. You have to declare exactly what you want, out loud, positively, and clearly, just like that real estate agent did. Number 2, follow your hunches. Infinite intelligence communicates with us through intuition. So when you get that sudden, random urge to call someone or drive a certain way, do it. That's the universe guiding you. And number 3, which is absolutely my favorite, dig ditches. This basically means actively preparing for the blessing before you actually have it. Shinn actually tells this amazing story of a woman living in a tiny, cramped hotel room who desperately wanted a large house. So to show her faith, she went out and bought this massive carving knife. Something totally useless for a tiny hotel room, right? But absolutely essential for a big dining room in a house. She was digging her ditch. She was showing active faith. That physical preparation is what throws the door wide open for the manifestation. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. What seemingly impossible situation in your life do you need to pull out of the magician's hat today? Whatever it is, maybe it's a massive career leap, a financial breakthrough, or a health challenge. Stop looking at it through those smudged lenses of fear. Pick up your spiritual binoculars, speak your word, follow your intuition, and start digging those ditches. The great magician is ready whenever you are.